We are live. Welcome back, Alchemist. This is not the 100 Millionaires podcast, the Alchemist Nation podcast. We're back in the game. Michael Stein, bring us in, man.
Massive income from passive income.
And Mitch, how do we do it?
Organize and collect.
We do indeed. The whole point is not to work, it's to generate income. We got Andrew Freed on the phone with us today. He's on air. Now, Andrew, if you go on the internet, there's another guy named Andrew Freed. He's like the base master. Have you run across this? Because you're not that guy. You're a different Andrew Freed. You're the one who has over 400 units in the Worcester area in Massachusetts in a market that everybody says you can't buy real estate in Massachusetts. It doesn't make sense anymore. Even guys like me are like, dude, I'm selling out. I'm getting out of Massachusetts. It's too tough. Tenants, toilets, and trash. What makes you stay in Worcester, man? And how do you know this base guy? Do you ever meet this base guy?
So it's funny you mentioned that because I actually confronted Andrew Freed, the basis. I say, I told him I'm the best Andrew Freed. Like, I'm coming for you.
I like
right?
that he said I confronted.
I confronted him. The guy has I think 200,000 followers. So I definitely got a long way to hike, but the guy doesn't own 400 units. So,
It's plain and simple that when it comes to wealth, you've got it. When it comes to followers, you got to slap at the base a little bit harder. So you've made it in a market that is, let's call it, very hard. I know because Darina at some point owned 3 multifamilies inside Worcester, and she got the advice from me to sell. I just said, babe, get out. We're done. We made our money. We tripled your money. Like, it's time for us to get out of here and go somewhere else. Andrew, why do you stay to Worcester? Like, why such loyalty to such a difficult state?
I don't consider it difficult at all. I believe FMR is year over year went up 13%. I think it was released a couple days ago. So, rents are going up. It's a great market. I love it in Worcester.
So you love it in Worcester because you've been in Worcester. Got it. They had the train before Fall River. They had a big boom in prices before Fall River, before Brockton. Worcester's got a lot of stuff happening in it. Let's just dive into the nitty gritty of you yourself. 6
Sure.
years ago, you were not a real estate investor. 6 years ago, you didn't have 400 units, let alone 100 units, or 100 units, let alone 400 units. You got in from, yes, I assume you had a degree. What was your degree? What did you go to school for? And how'd you find out about real estate?
I got my degree in business and management as well as English. And prior to real estate, I just thought, getting a good job, getting a nice 6-figure salary, getting a condo in the city was the way towards financial freedom. And I did all that through my entire 20s. I got my bachelor's at UMass Amherst, got my master's at Emmanuel College, got a job at the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard, was making 6 figures, had that condo in Boston. Like, I essentially did it step by step. But, come around COVID, I came home from work and I just felt empty. I felt like I had so much more potential to put on the table. And I really felt like I was kind of leaving my ambitions out there to really not go after them. So, that's when I decided, I ended up finding Rich Dad, Poor Dad, this amazing book that opened my eyes to the power of real estate. And when I realized, at that point, I think 80% of my net worth was in that 1-bedroom condo that I bought 5 years ago. I completely forgot about it. I was like, holy crap, there's something to this real estate thing. So at that point during COVID, I got a HELOC on a 1-bedroom condo for about 200K. And I used that as a war chest to start buying multifamily in Worcester, Massachusetts.
It makes a lot of sense once you've read the Purple Book. But prior to reading the Purple Book, it's just like you're winning, right? Hey, I have a net worth of X amount of dollars, right? I'm actually somewhere in life where most people at my age have not accomplished anything. How old are you, Andrew? Because there's a lot of people who are going to be listening to this and saying, man, that guy looks like he's 18 years old. How's he already got 400 units? So why are we taking advice from this kid? You're actually older than you look.
I don't know, take that as a compliment, but I am 35 years old, and I started my journey on acquiring my real estate empire back when I was 31. So I've only been in the game for about 4 years.
So I think it's important because a lot of guys assume somebody who looks young is like, oh, he must have started when he was, 18 years old, came out, his mom and dad were in real estate. I assume that your mom and dad were not in real estate.
My mom and dad actually almost lost their shirts during 2008 when they decided to do short-term rentals near Lake Winnipesaukee, and got over their head with mortgages, and ended up having to sell at a loss a couple years later. So that actually deterred me from getting in real estate for many, many years.
A very effective deterrent is to see your parents lose their shirts. You say, okay, like I'm not going to do that. That'd be crazy. Even conservatively, buying a condo is more conservative than buying a single family house, which goes back to show like you are not really sold on the concept of real estate. The Purple Book changed your mind. You did a house hack. What is the math behind a house hack?
So a house hack is more or less you buy a multifamily property, typically a 2 to 4 unit property, and you move into with a low owner occupied loan. Think of, a 0% down FHA loan, a 3.5% down FHA loan, a 5% down conventional loan, right? And you get in the property with very little money down, maybe $30,000, $50,000 in a 3 or 4 unit, and you can live in one of the units and live and rent the other 2 units and essentially live for free or live for very little overhead. Definitely way cheaper than rent. So it's a very easy strategy to become a landlord with very low risk.
Yeah, Mitch likes to free roll. Mitch, can you define free rolling so we can see if Andrew Freed also likes to free roll?
I see what you tried to do there. It almost worked. I liked it. Well, sidebar, house hack when you're younger, because who wants roommates when they're in their 40s? I know I don't. So definitely do that when you first get started. I think it's a great way to buy your first property and make it make sense, and potentially free roll, which basically means the income you're bringing in covers your expenses, so therefore you're living for free. And any investment really where you have no money invested essentially, and it's a profitable investment. That is essentially what I mean by free roll. So I love free rolling because it's risk free. Anytime you don't have any of your money in something, and you can produce a positive return, it's a free roll.
So Andrew, you basically had a house, a condo you were using and like living in, and then you took money out of it, which you were still using the house. It's not like it changed your usage at all, but then you were able to use that money and go and buy something else. Now, basically, this next property that you bought is free rolling, right? You're not using any of your own. It's your capital, but it's not capital that you needed because it was just sitting there tied up inside of a property. How often do you do that? Have you used anything outside of a HELOC before, or have you found other ways to untap your own existing capital?
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly correct in the fact that, I took 40, 50K from this line of credit, right? I used that combined with an FHA loan to buy a property. So none of it was my money. It was actually the bank's money letting me borrow against it, right? And then the rent from that 3 unit, the $3,200, covered the mortgage of that 3 unit. And then the rent from the condo covered the mortgage from the condo plus the HELOC payment. So essentially, I paid no money for that property. Yep. And I've acquired quite a number of units by recycling my capital via velocity of capital, velocity of money, right? Like I've used lines of credit, I've used promissory notes, I've used borrowed 401k funds, I've 1031 property, I've done seller finance notes. I've done a multitude of strategies to reduce my out-of-pocket costs with buying these properties and more or less free rolling, as Mitch likes to put it.
I like that. I see one other that you've done is partnerships because I have a little list of the things that you've spoken about in other podcasts, and one of the things that didn't come out just now is partnerships. How did you get into partnerships? Because obviously the first deal you didn't need anybody else other than the bank. How did you decide, okay, I got to scale this up. I got to bring somebody on. I know your partner Zach is somebody who I mentioned his name like 3 or 4 times earlier, calling you Zach. So now that I'm getting your Andrew, how did you and Zach meet? What made you say I'm going to bring on a partner?
So, prior to real estate or
And why a partner? Because I know a
why a
lot of
partner?
people who are listening to this right now have said to me, partners are for dancing. Like
Sure,
I don't want to get with a partner.
sure.
I used to say I was guilty of 2000, like from 2008 to 2015, I had no partner, and I used to say partners for dancing. I said that more times than I like to admit over those 7 years. So what shifted you, or did you always say I got to partner with somebody to be successful, or was there an actual change or shift where you said I got to start bringing other people in?
No, I mean, when I first started out, I was definitely a one-man army. I definitely had trust issues. I thought, I could do everything better than everybody else, which was absolutely a false belief, right? But, that was my mentality going into it. And, for my first 30 units, I essentially did that all with my own cash. I didn't raise any money from investors. I leveraged everything I could, my line of credit, promissory notes, 401k, stock, crypto, literally everything I could leverage to buy more and more property. But, at a certain point, when you run out of your own cash and you still have amazing deals coming your way, partnerships are an attractive opportunity to scale, right? And the more I explored partnerships, the more I found the power in partnerships. The fact that, with partnerships, it really allows you to build your team of Avengers, right? And, I might be Captain America and I might be good at what I'm amazing at, and allows me to sit in my strength while leveraging other people to sit in their strength. So that's been my, secret sauce for really scaling from like 30 units to over 400 units in a couple years.
I love the analogy. I personally see myself as Nick Fury, so
Okay.
but I love
So,
I love the
so,
Avengers
so you, so
analogy.
you're a little schemer. You're a little schemer behind the scenes. He's always
I'm
got
just
a
like, dude,
card. He's always got a card up his sleeve.
you know who I need? I need Captain America out there to go have a conversation
Oh,
with with the other person on the
yeah.
team, because right now we're gonna have a problem.
No, I mean, I'm right there with you. Like, I
Yeah.
definitely very much play like in a support role. Think
Yes.
like Doctor Strange or like a Nick Fury. And my partner Zach's a fucking barbarian. The guy's like a Captain America, Thor. I need something done. I send that guy loose. Yeah.
He's Banner. He's smart and he's powerful when he's
Yeah.
going. So Mike wrote the book Power of Partnerships. And so when you said that the actual power of partnerships, can you just define that for me? Like, what is it that you found was powerful in your partnerships? Like everybody has partnerships, right? At this
Mhm.
point in the game, you've got a lot of partners, you got a lot of people in your
Sure.
deals. Who was the first one? Did it fail? Did it succeed? And if it failed, don't tell me their name. But like, what did that first partnership look like? What made you say, okay, lessons learned, continue to scale? How did you come to a conclusion? How has it grown over time?
Sure. Sure. So my first partnership uh was I bought a 3 unit in Worcester, Massachusetts, right in the MLS. We got a pretty good deal. It was a 6 bed, 3 bath. Sorry, 6 bed, 5 bath with the ability to make it a 7 bed, 5 bath for 497. So it was a pretty solid deal, hit the 1% rule. And one of my buddies who've already owned 3 or 4 properties wanted to partner in this deal. I still had about 50K on my line of credit, and you need about 100K to get into it. So I thought it was a good deal to 50-50 on, right? So we ended up getting this property, and I more or less managed the administrative components and they managed the construction as well as the tenant management. And throughout the entire process, with partners, the key with successful partnerships is you need to know your lane. You need to trust that your partner's going to handle their lane while you handle your lane. And meanwhile, like every single task or responsibility this person was given, I had to follow up 4, 5, 6, 7 times, right? And that really taught me, like, you have to partner with people who do what they say they're going to do, right? That was definitely lesson number one. But lesson number two was I have to lead the charge, right? I have to control the money. I have to lead the business plan. I have to direct the project, right? So those are two major lessons that I learned with partnerships. And, my partnerships moving forward, I have maintained the direction or the business plan, and I have controlled the money.
Man, that's good. Control the money. I found that staying in the lead, like as a visionary, right? I see you as a visionary in your company, and then you
Yep.
bring in partners who are either integrators or some degree of capital. But staying in control of the money and keeping the vision, those seem like the two non-negotiables if you are building the company, right? If you are the person who's building the company, somebody has to have the vision, and that person with the vision usually has to control the money. Otherwise, yeah, the money goes where it doesn't belong. And that
Yes.
usually is maintenance that we don't want done, or projects that are over perfected, or
Or
buying
does
the wrong buildings. Go ahead, Mitch.
does that just make us control freaks? I mean, yeah, control the money. And most of my partnerships, I'm pretty much the lead on that. I guess letting go of that a little bit with my new partnerships with the Pennsylvania stuff. I'm involved, but I don't think I'm the lead. Um, it's interesting. Yeah.
That's because Mike's the lead.
No, Mike's not the
Mike's in
lead.
charge. Mike's the money
Mike
man,
just
the
is
captain,
money.
captain of the ship.
Mike just is
Yeah.
money. Money Mike.
All
Yeah,
right. Let's
Andrew's got a fund. When's your meeting? It's Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Is that the new Freedom Fund?
Yeah, so I did start a Path to Freedom fund, a syndication fund, a 506C, where we're raising money for value add multifamily around the Worcester, New England market. Essentially, what I've been doing for a couple of years at this point, it's more or less we're just trying to formalize it from like a mom and pop private equity firm to more of kind of a legitimate a private equity firm in the market. So that's kind of the plan. We launched it last Saturday. We're having our first webinar tomorrow. So yeah, thanks for the plug, Mike.
Brings me into my next point, which is deal flow, meetups, bigger pockets, socials. What what got you into doing meetups of your own? Like, 'cause now you run one of the biggest meetups in
Sure.
in the Worcester area. What got you to running those? Yeah, I'm a huge fan of meetups myself.
Sure.
Serena ran a bunch before I met her.
Mhm.
I attend a whole lot, and at some point we had 30, and then we had 300, and then we cut back to 30, and now we're down to like 15 that we our core meetups that we stick to. What made you say I got to run one of these?
So the truth of the matter is I never wanted to run a meetup, right? I didn't go into it wanting to run a meetup. What I went into it was at that point, I was just getting in the real estate game. I owned a couple units. I was trying to attend as many real estate meetups as I could as a participant. And somebody who I looked up to owned hundreds of units in the area, John Bombachi. He hosted all these meetups around the Massachusetts and New Hampshire market. And he had a virtual meetup. And at this virtual meetup, he mentioned that, he wants to start a meetup in Worcester. He's been looking for a venue. He doesn't know of any good venues. Does anybody have any recommendations? He said it right at the end of the meeting. So I didn't make any mention of it. So that weekend, I took the initiative, probably took 4 or 5 hours to visit 5 or 6 venues, get video, get pricing, get the manager's information, put in a nice little package, send it to him, offer recommendations. He was like, this is great. I've been asking somebody to do this for 8 months. Nobody did this. Do you want to be our first guest speaker? I'm like, sure, I would love to at that point. So I agreed to be his first guest speaker. Right there, he asked me to host the meetup. From there, I decided to host the meetup because I wanted to provide this guy, John Bombachi, value, who I saw as my mentor, and I wanted to eventually kind of model my business after his. So I started the meetup under his brand, eventually becoming an investor-focused agent, brought him more value in the form of agent commissions, started building his brand, building the meetup. And me and him eventually did partner on, I believe, a 70-unit syndication in New Bedford, Massachusetts.
Absolutely crazy story because I know John Bombashi from my time with Cameron Real Estate Group, and I had a very similar relationship with Tom Caffarello, who runs Cameron. Yeah, he had 300 doors, and so I was like, okay, I'll work for you, and I'll just want to add value. And I started running my own meetups because he was running his meetups, and it works, right? So these meetups are more than just a way to add value to mentors, right? It also brings you deals, brings you connections, brings you capital. What are some of the things, like crazy things you didn't expect that have come from running your own meetup?
I would say the craziest thing I didn't expect from running my own meetup was I ended up getting on the Bigger Pockets podcast by running my meetup. One of my guest speakers was on the Bigger Pockets Rookie. They just had a pretty successful launch. They, were presenting at my meetup. After the meetup, I was just chatting with them. I was telling them it's always been my dream to be on the Bigger Pockets podcast. They were like, "Oh, I'd love to introduce you to the producers." They introduced me. I ended up getting on there, and it was fantastic for my brand building. So, yeah, that was absolutely incredible for sure.
That's wild. It's on my to-do list. I figure I'm going to ask them when I get 10,000 units. I'm going to reach that, and then I'll say, hey guys, can I get on? And hopefully they're still in business. So self-management systems, leasing, maintenance, collections. What are some of the KPIs you look at with a portfolio this size?
So we just started utilizing the EOS model for managing our portfolio, and we do combine that with the cultural index. So the EOS model is more or less a model where, how all of us very much vision plan for our future, our 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, what our lives want to be like. That's the same with your business. You plan what your 1 year, 5 year, 10 year vision is for your plan, and you distill that down to the employees, and you base it off their KPIs, and you give them little like mini projects or rocks to build up for. That's how we organize the management. We also use a culture index, which it's like a personality test to hire the right individuals coming into the organization. Regarding some KPIs that we're aiming for, I mean, we're always aiming for, rent collection, have 95% rent collection, within the first 2 weeks. Unit turns within 2 weeks is a big metric for us. Getting units rented within a month. That's a metric for us. So those are some of the big ones. I'm trying to think. Yeah, nothing else comes to the top of mind right now.
No, those are big metrics. I love that your metrics are actually realistic. So mine are absolutely insane. I'm like 100% occupancy, 100% lease up. I want you to
Sure.
check every unit every day.
Yeah. And
Like,
no, and I think that's good, but like I'm a
but
big believer.
it's not realistic.
No, but I'm big a believer in iterative, right? Like once they
Yeah,
get to 95, then I can ask for 96. But I can't
right.
start at 100. I want to anchor at a realistic number. you know?
And so everybody who's listening knows the industry standard for multifamily is 88%. So if you can get 88% collections of the units that you have leased up, that is considered industry standard. So to be at 95% is aiming to be exceptional. It's literally aiming to be above what the industry is capable of. And we've pulled it off in buildings. Like certain buildings do run for us at that 88 for sure in the hood. We're there, but some of our buildings do run higher, and we've never hit 100% occupancy except for a small building. Like a small building sometimes will hit 100% occupancy. 3 families, 6 families, like sometimes that does happen. But at scale, it does become a little bit more difficult. What has changed for you in operations from, let's call it your first 30 unit portfolio by yourself to this conglomerated version of your portfolio with, over 400 units? What has had to change in your systems and what was had to change in your day to day? Right. Obviously, you're not out there, fixing the doors. You're not out there throwing the toilet on your shoulder and running up the stairs. So your day to day has obviously changed from the first units to today.
Sure. So, I think it all came down to, just like you can invest in property, you can invest in people, right? And, over the course of this past year and a half, I built this 20-person organization, right? But I've also built it intentionally, just like building a home, right? I put certain personality, certain work types at the bottom, the foundation, the ground, right? And I built my way up, right? So I've been very intentional about building my organization with the right people in the right seat, with the right personality, with the right org chart. And I think that's been, instrumental for my growth and allowing me to scale to this level, right? And to your point, how am I managing all these units efficiently? I'm using AppFolio. I only allow electronic payment. We do not accept check or other forms of payment, right? So we can reconcile our rents within minutes versus weeks if you try to collect cash payments. I have a very, I have a weekly habit of reviewing our accounts receivable to ensure we get all of our money very quickly. Our accounts payable, we pay extremely quick, twice a week to our vendors, primarily utilizing Deluxe or e-check so our vendors can get paid quickly. We've also hired in-house maintenance techs, paint crews to kind of keep our costs low. So I mean, those are some. We bought wholesale LVP, right? These are some systems we're implementing with like economies of scale to really kind of make our management easier, despite us having more and more units.
Economies of scale, man. Mitch Shorsky, you excited about this? You're gonna be catching up to him at some point.
It's all about systems, right? It's a big, big piece. You
It
can't
is. What about you,
scale
Mike?
without implementing
You've got
systems.
100 units, or you're around 100 units between all your different partners. What what about you? Don't I don't ever hear you say any of the stuff that Andrew just said.
No,
Andrew's like heavy on the
because
KPIs, heavy on I got this tool, I got this tool. He's changed quite a bit as he's scaled, but I haven't
but
seen that on your side.
but my deals don't look like Andrew's. Like Andrew's really an operator, and my deals in Haverhill, I have a partner who runs it. My deals in Newport, Alex and my wife Brenda run that. And with this one, like you said, Mitch was the easy button because he's going to run it. Now that doesn't mean I don't keep an eye on it, but I don't have systems in place. I mean, we'll see. I mean, this is 48 units, and then we got another 18, which will close, and then Mitch, didn't you get another offer for like 100 or something like that? So at some point, we got to get to that, but it's not where I am really. I want to be on a farm in France, in the south of France.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, you're not an operator, and the way you
Yeah,
partner, you never really,
exactly.
played that role.
Yep.
That's everyone's got a role, and
Yeah.
as far as the new stuff, I
Well,
mean,
Walter, you've known me forever. I'm a high I. I like to have
yep.
fun and do the fun stuff. I don't want to get into the C stuff and the nitty gritty. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, we all have different models. Like I'm vertically integrated. Like my
Yeah.
whole operation, I try to get every part of the supply chain. Like you guys don't want that. You guys want freedom of time. So as a result, you're willing to give up a little more of the return to
Yep.
get that additional time, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Bro, that's what I'm getting at here. Like it takes
You're
an
also
Andrew Freed.
35. I mean, you're
Oh yeah.
35, so come on.
Well, either way, like even the guys who work for me, they're 46. Like they're operators, like through and through. And I've asked them, like, when you
Yeah.
retire, and they're like, dude, we're not retiring. Like we built a business where our kids could take over. I thank God we had sons, because this
Yeah.
thing's got to keep going and growing.
I know
So
a friend of mine who's I think I mentioned him before. He's a architect and he uses the uh what's the what's the book?
Who not
This
how?
no, the operating system.
Oh, oh,
EOS.
EOS.
yeah,
Yeah.
traction.
Yeah,
Track-
Traction. Thank you.
track.
And Traction has him set up so he already has his retirement date and his top four captains, who are all architects, they're already in line for retirement too. So I
I
think that's
absolutely love
cool.
it. So I bet if I ask Andrew Freed what your retirement date is, he must have it because you're in the traction, the EOS system. He's like,
Oh,
no, I don't. No, don't ask me.
all I hear from Andrew's like aura is he sounds like he's like Vin Diesel in Fast and Furious. I live for this shit.
Yeah, it's hard to stop. It is, especially when you got the wind behind your back and you're on exponential growth. Like that's not the time to stop,
Stop.
right?
Yeah, that's the time to dive in. Like I said, you're
Yeah,
35. You're just a
right.
kid. It's so awesome.
Do it while you got the energy.
I
Yeah.
love being called just a
I
kid.
mean,
So apparently,
I
Andrew, we're in
still
the
have the
same
energy,
space
Mitch.
until we're 40, and then from there, we move on. We're no longer Peter Pan. So
That's
I
right.
mean, I just wish I was that as aerodynamic as you, man. That bald head, man, you must fly.
I'm 39, Andrew. When you get as old as me,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you could buy hair in Turkey. I'm just tossing
Yeah.
Can't
that
buy
out
hair in
there.
nah,
Turkey.
dude, I was bald
We
at
know,
It's like
25.
Go
we know who's done
Bundens.
it.
Sounds like Go Bundens. Everybody in Go Bundens go
No,
there.
we were out in Turkey a few months ago, and they were like, "Yeah, we could take it from here." And then I was like, "No, no, I worked too hard to get this, so
I do
we're
have
gonna keep
I
this
have
just
a
the way it is."
Walter, I got a question. So,
Yeah.
Andrew, I know you're in GoBundance. We've spoken about it before. Just can you just speak to what the value of being in that mastermind is?
Yeah, I mean, Go Abundance is more or less a group of high productive individuals, mostly men. There's about 1,000 across the United States, and it's a mastermind group. So the entire point of the group is to, help each other become better versions of ourselves every single day, right? So we have meetings, we, go to events. We also have local, call them pods. We meet with 4 or 5 people, and they're more or less our board of directors, guiding us through, trying to be the best fitness we can, relationship wise, financial. So it's not all about money. It's more or less kind of about just living your best life. So
So
really, sorry, go ahead.
do you have like a specific example of something amazing that happened because of your pod or your group or your mastermind?
Sure.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I went to a Tony Robbins event a couple weeks ago, and I have a million of these stories. I keep going. A couple weeks ago with some Go Abundance people, I ended up running across Brandon Turner, and me and him ended up having dinner, all because I
Oh,
knew this Go Abundance group, right?
nice.
And that was an enlightening experience. I mean, another conversations with one of those Go Abundance people who owned, I think, 3,000 doors at the time, made me $250,000 in buyer commissions just building it into the properties I was purchasing already, right? Like, so just having quick conversations like that can meet your idol. You can add $250,000 of revenue to your business with a 5-minute conversation. Like these relationships are invaluable.
Nice. Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the value of just being around really smart people who are ahead of you in some capacity, or even just being around achievers. There's a statement I learned from one person. He says, "You get what you manage for," and that has absolutely changed the trajectory of my career. Dude owns 5,000 units, and it's just like one sentence from that person can actually change your trajectory. He owns all his units with just his wife. That's why, Andrew, when you and I connected, you were like, "Hey, so you got partners?" I was like, "Nah, dude, it's just me and Dorita," and that's because he said you get what you manage for, and I asked him the same question you asked me, and he was like, dude, I've done it all with just my own capital, and in the beginning I used to borrow money from friends. So it's a relationship place. Now, why hasn't Mitch Jorsky committed to Go Bunnets? Andrew, what do you think is the reason?
Oh,
He's
that's-
gone to a few of their events, and I'm just wondering, what do you think?
I will read verbatim.
He's like he's
response
like
to
that he's
Jamie.
like that cheap high school buddy that didn't want to pay for the movie and like pushed you into like opening the door in the back to get him in the movie. Like
That
that's
is
every
definitely
Go
not
Abundance
me.
event.
I was
Every
the
Go
guy. I was
Abundance.
the guy
Hey,
opening the
Mitch,
door.
I'll open the door for you. Don't you worry, my
I
friend.
was the guy.
Well,
It's
Uh,
Mitch
because he knows a
actually,
guy like Andrew
Mitch,
Freed is going to open the door. It's
Mitch,
I'm so
Mitch,
committed to Alchemist Nation. I don't have time for another tribe.
Mitch actually, Mitch actually said that he he had like the life hack when he spoke to a lot of GoBundance people. Like there were people with much higher net worth, but they didn't have his time freedom and life freedom.
That
So
was an interesting thing I did stumble across was I saw like most of, and it's awesome because it's like, you have this room full of people that were super successful business wise, and their now focus was on their personal life because, they grinded, they got it done, they had so much success business wise, and they're like, I need to refocus, I need to spend more time with my wife, I need to spend more time with my
Yeah.
kids, I need to do more things with my friends. And I'm like, looking at them like, I have the opposite problem. Like I have to force myself to grow my business. Like I have no problems doing the personal thing. Like I go hang with my friends all the time and I fly all over the country and it's like, and I spend time with family. And so it's like we can help each other learn. So it
Yeah,
was, it
it
was, it was
it
interesting.
it it's
But what I
incredible.
love is at the end of the day, being around people that are looking to grow and do better, regardless of what facet of life it is. And I'm sure Andrew's seen that as well, in that community. So, regardless of what community you get involved with, make sure there is that, theme of people that are looking to grow as people, not only, themselves, but the people that, are in their community, because I think it's important. And, as much as technology is helping us more and more, it's relationships are still key. And, Andrew gave us 3 examples of that just, 2 minutes ago.
nice, nice.
That's a good enough answer. I guess, Andrew, you slayed it. I think Mitch is just hiding the fact that
Why are we, this podcast is
so it's
about
good
Andrew
enough.
Freed.
We'll go back to Andrew. It's fine. It's fine.
Wait,
All right.
I just want to tell a quick story. When I was like 18 or 19, we'd go out this one summer, and my friend Dan, every time we'd go for like a round of drinks or whatever, maybe I was a little older than that, whatever, he'd be like, "Oh, I only got 100." So,
And
so
they
for the
paid
whole
for it.
summer, he never paid for the drinks. And then my best friend's birthday was like August 4th, and we were in the bar, Spats in Providence, and so I'm just waiting for Dan to say it. So I'm like, "Hey, we gotta buy Andy some drinks," and he's like, "Oh, I only got 100," and he showed it. I grabbed it. I'm like, "Perfect, boom!" We had 7 beers, 7 shots, and he got like $10 back.
Michael Scheid,
Yeah.
prepared,
Yeah.
ready to go.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah.
Perfect. So,
I
Andrew,
think
you've
I
got
think I think the moral of the story is the next round is on Mitch.
Yeah.
next round is
Yeah.
on Mitch. It sounds like Mitch has to join Go Blended. So, Andrew, you
Should
got a lot of
join
things that
it.
you're doing right
You
now. You got
should.
some goals. I assume that the only way a person can move at the speed you're moving is because you're aiming at something bigger. So, I think a lot of people watch you. I know I watch you on Facebook. And I see your posts. I see the content. I can kind of pick out a trajectory of where I think you're going based on the activity that I see because I've been around it long enough. But I've also found it's a lot easier for an entrepreneur to get the help that they're looking for just by pointing out and saying, dude, here's where I'm going. And then suddenly, people start coming to you because they heard that's where you want to go. So if you were to cautiously state where you want to be in 3 to 5 years, what is the direction? Where does Andrew Freed moving himself towards? And what is the big why that moves you in that direction?
Well, I want to know. You said you saw where I was going. Like, enlighten me real quick. Tell me where I'm going. I'm just curious now. I'm curious.
I've
That's
put it inside
awesome.
of a fortune cookie. I'll mail you in 5 years.
Okay. So Walter, my future involves hair, so I apologize. I know it's not in
Hey,
your
we can't all go this fast, bro. It's all
Wow.
right.
He knows
Wow.
what's up.
Wow.
Don't let the
Wow.
hat fool you. We got the hair over here.
Jesus. Hey, take off that hat. I don't see any hair there. Is he hiding?
But
They say hang out with
Andrew will
people
be
who have
getting the
what you
hair.
want, right?
No, I mean, I definitely see myself, acquiring up to 10,000 doors. I want to actively own 500 rental units because syndication is great, but it's also you're planting a seed for a tree to sprout 5, 7 years down the road. I need things that pay me cash flow now, right? So that's part of it. I want to help 10,000 people reach financial independence. I love giving back. I love seeing other people grow.
Oh, I love
I
that.
want to travel to 100 countries. Um, Only work 2 hours out of the day. And start a family. So that's kind of where I see my life in 10
Oh
years or
wow!
so.
If we were on a big show, I'd say give Andrew Freed a round of applause. So if you're listening right now, you just tap that heart. That's really a good one. I like it.
Nice
So
job.
you said something interesting that I think me and Michael Shine need to write down. Mike, let's help 10,000 people become financially free. We just write that shit down. I like it. It's
Well,
really
isn't
good.
that wait a sec, 100 millionaires who create 100 millionaires is how much? That's
It's 10,000
10,000.
people.
There you go.
Okay.
We've
All
been
right. We're
saying
gonna
that
partner up. We're gonna
we've been
partner up.
saying
We'll
that
figure
for
this out.
7 years.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Wasn't that my idea?
No.
It
Hey,
was
my goal was now 10,001.
yeah.
I got
Let's
one.
get
Well,
it.
I have to say that was Walter's thing from the very beginning. That was
Oh.
actually the reason that I jumped on Walter's call because he always said, I want to create 100 millionaires who are inspired to create 100 millionaires. And if you do the math, that's your 10,000. So you're on the same track. That's so cool.
So here's one more thing you said, Andrew. Now that we're validated, now we're on the same track.
Yeah.
You said work 2 hours a day. Here's what I know. Here's what I know about you. You work a lot of hours a day. Here's what I know about the average person. They also only work 2 hours a day. So they may be at work for 8 hours or 10 hours, but they're only really squeezing out like 2 actual hours a day. So for you to put out 2 actual hours a day, it means you're going to step into I assume you're just going to work those 2 hours and you're not going to put yourself in work for 8 hours. You're getting to a peaceful place. The starting a family, the starting like all of those things, they're personal, right? Like the mission has to fit your personal vision. You've taken the time to do that. A lot of people don't do that. So if I go back, I want to go back to 20-year-old Andrew Freed and just ask yourself, because by the way, this is the last question I ask on the podcast. If there was three pieces of advice you give yourself, your 20-year-old version, that to get yourself here healthier, faster, happier, wealthier,
How do you
what
know he
three
was
pieces of
a
advice?
how do you know he was a 20-year-old virgin?
So at some point he was 20. At some point he was 20. I mean,
Prove
and Mike, you're
it.
just talking about me and you, bro. That's you're
Version
projecting now. You're just
enunciate.
A
projecting.
virgin. Oh, I'm so
Use your words.
That
Sorry.
20-year-old version of
Yes.
yourself. Let's just say, okay, let's say you had kids and you were going to hand your kids the best piece of advice on their 20th birthday so that they go forth and be the best version. What three pieces of advice would you give somebody?
Piece number one, life is an iterative process. If you want to be successful in life, you have to skew towards action and fix along the way. And ultimately, the end result will be this magical thing that you create. To think perfection exists is a false belief. I would say that's tip number one. Tip number two, if you want to be successful in anything, it's a pretty simple formula. You just find somebody else doing what you want to do at a large scale and model their behavior and try to and provide value to them. Right. Step number three, wealth is a spiritual game. Your success is correlated, is limited by your level of self-growth.
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah,
Hey, I wanted to
walk it
wait,
down.
I
Those are
just
well
wanted
said.
to say the
No,
second
Mike,
one.
the world can't handle any more value. Like that's
No,
the
just
maximum
number.
value. That's all we've got.
I gotta add my dad in there somewhere, but my father always used to say, "There's nothing wrong with being Wendy's," which is basically what you're saying. McDonald's was out there crushing it, and then Wendy's just came along and just copied the formula and crushed it.
Totally.
Instead of a red-headed clown, they gave us a
I
red-headed
think that's
girl
right. Name Wendy.
named Wendy. I see it. I see the
Right out of
correlation.
Ohio, by the way. Columbus, Ohio is where Dave was from. So there you
A lot
go.
of great things come out of Ohio. One day
Great.
I'll come out of Ohio too.
Yeah.
Can't stay here forever.
Get the fuck out.
Woo! There's only so much you can do. It's great to raise a kid, but you don't want to stay here.
Yeah.
This is a
Wow.
very tame, boring place. I'll just put it out that
Now that we
way.
lost all the Ohio listeners.
You're alienating your tenants right now, Walter.
There'll be no events in Ohio.
I love all of my tenants, but don't worry, guys. Elge habla español, and we're not speaking Spanish right now, so we're okay.
Wow.
I know, Michael Shine, you're probably the only person who could talk to my tenants. I got a lot of Espanol,
That's a mess.
Nicaraguans, Puerto Ricans,
Yo
hard
hablo
workers
un
out here.
poquito de español, gracias.
So So fortunately, they all pay rent on time, which is, well, that demographic pays rent on time because the eviction process is pretty quick for them.
Hey, Andrew,
Anyway.
do you look to expand to other geographical
I asked him
locations?
this. It's like, bro, you gonna leave Worcester? And he's like, one day if I have to. Not
Yeah, but I
now.
mean, did you look at those things? Sorry if I missed it, but do you look at other things like when you hear Walter in Cleveland, that kind of stuff?
No, he shuts it down immediately, bro. He's like, he's what I was 5 years ago. Exactly. Like, no,
Hey,
dude, I got no
5 years,
reason to
I
there you
leave.
go.
Yeah,
I don't get shiny object syndrome. Like I
Nice.
know what I'm good at, and I am good at value add multifamily in my backyard with my vertically integrated operation. Right?
That's
If
awesome.
I can't manage it, if I can't stabilize it, it's not going to stabilize to my expectations. And
true.
I've experienced this. I've invested out of state. I've tried hiring third party property managers. It never works to my expectations. So ultimately, my success lies in my backyard, and that's where I plan on investing.
That's awesome.
I actually
Perfect.
love that because I mean I'm
So
in that
true,
same
dude.
boat, right?
Yep.
Like, I'm out of state, yes, but my partner is a local and my partners are actively involved in the property management. It's like, yeah, I'm handling the financial side, but they're actively involved in the property management because, as Andrew said, third-party property management is hard to find quality operators. Are they out there? Sure, but everyone I know has gone through, two, three of them before they find someone they settle
Well,
on. Is it ever going to be to the quality that if your hands are on it? Probably not because it's not their baby. It's just a job.
so
Right.
the biggest truth in real estate I know is every landlord will complain about their property manager. I've never heard a landlord say, "Oh, my property manager does a great job." Never, never.
That's awesome.
It's always they do shit. It's like
Yeah.
so. It's like why not just do it myself?
Yeah.
It's
Cool.
you're preaching to the choir. So I don't hire property management anymore. I have a consulting firm that manages my existing team. And my consulting firm is on the planes every single week, either to Cleveland or to Jackson. And their job is to make sure that both of those portfolios run as if like better than I would run it. And the staff, they rotate the staff out because if the staff doesn't care as much as they care, as much as I care, because their job is to care more than I do. And that's exactly how you want to hire. In property management companies, just they're not incentivized to do that. Like they're not incentivized to
Hmm.
make you win. The consulting firm's only way they get paid is if I make more money than I would if I didn't have them. So they come in on top of my management company and they're like this, it's like having EOS coaches grinding on your business. But that is the way you're building right now, Andrew. It's the only way to do it. It really, truly is. The vertical integration. I don't know a better way to. I don't know what. No landlord at 400 units says otherwise. And most landlords at around 80 units are smart enough to get rid of their property management companies. At some point, around 80 to 100, 200 units, it's like you got to vertically integrate, get out. And the only guy, and I know a lot of property managers are going to be pissed off when they hear this video, but you know what? You don't pay me. And so it is what it is. The property management space is broken. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
well,
people who do it wrong.
we had the 32 unit board rooming house that you talked about the other day on
Yeah.
things, and
Yeah.
that we didn't make money. The only one who made money was the property manager. So like every month you'd come back and it'd be like, okay, this is what's supposed to be coming in, but there's this expense, this expense. It was just, yeah, no, done.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
good. So Andrew, you're doing it right. Stick to your guns, vertically integrate. At some point, bring in a person on top of like on the side of you to check every single system you have in place and tweak and adjust and give them full control to go and make it better. Whether it's a consulting firm outside or just a person you bring in who's like your manager. But I like where you're going, man. I think you're gonna hit it, and I think that you're gonna run out of units in Worcester, and you're gonna end up in New Hampshire, or you're gonna end up in Maine or Vermont or Connecticut, or you may end up in the Midwest with us out here. But you're to get to 10,000 units, it's gonna be a hell of a journey. And I can't say because I haven't been there yet, but I'm glad to be on it with you, man. Cheers.
Hey, I think I'm going to graduate from buying portfolios to buying towns. You'll see, my friend.
I like
Hey, you
it.
know what? You can buy Fall River, 86,000 population. There's
I
like
will.
40,000 units right there.
I will pass on that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I I did the math on
That
it.
was a hard
I
pass. That was a hard pass.
I
You didn't even
appreciate-
hesitate.
I appreciate the gesture. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you can have her dirty sister, New Bedford, if you want. I'll
Hey,
offer New Bedford.
I'll take New Bedford and Fall River if you take Springfield. We'll call it an even
Oh.
exchange.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
wow.
dude, no. You know, Springfield.
I have to say, every time I go out to Worcester, I'm really impressed at what it's getting
The Worcester
better and
market's
better
come up.
every time I see it. I love that town now. Yeah.
It's great. It's
It's
great.
funny you bring up Springfield because that's a market that for years I used to look at it. I even went up to Holyoke because they had the 20-unit buildings. Springfield had the 6,000 or 14,000 two families. So I went right past Springfield, went up to Holyoke, and I just couldn't fathom building the team and bringing them up there. Like I just couldn't see getting my guys to do that drive. And that's where we started scaling back out of Fall River. So we went from 100 units to 12 units, and it was just it was because I couldn't see anywhere I really wanted to grow and go. So I love that we're talking to somebody who's literally stayed right in their backyard in a market that I backed out of. I pulled out of Worcester for all the reasons you're staying in Worcester. The appreciation, the rent's going up, like all the reasons that I said, man, I don't want to be in this market. You're absolutely slaying it in that market in a market where a lot of people don't want to invest in Massachusetts. So if people want to find out about you, Andrew, what's the easiest way for them to connect with you, learn more about what you got going on?
They can find me at Investor Freed on Instagram or Andrew Freed at Facebook or LinkedIn. I'm definitely very active, always putting out content. Give me a follow if you want to learn about multifamily investing.
I like it. You heard it here. Andrew Freed. Go to investorfreedom.com. Michael Shine, take us out of here, brother.
Hey, Andrew, thanks. It was great, great podcast. Thank you so much. And massive income from passive income.
How do we get it, Mitch?
We organize and we collect.
All right, because the point is not to work, it's to generate income. We want to interview more great entrepreneurs who are in this community, in the Massachusetts, Rhode Island area. If you know somebody who is a phenomenal investor who you think we could learn from, send us a message, send Mitch a message, Mike, myself. Cheers to your success. We have a choice. I always work with the best. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace. Bye, everybody.